Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, July 2nd, 2020. I'm Keith Tebow. This week, Governor Baker has announced that beginning on Monday, the state will enter Phase 3 of reopening due to COVID-19. We'll give you some details. Mayor Coogan held another session with residents on how the city can be a more inclusive community. We hear from two more Democratic candidates running for Congress in the 4th Congressional District. And Bristol Community College is looking to get their employees active while working remotely. We'll have those stories and more coming right up. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker today announced that beginning on Monday, Phase 3 of the state's reopening from COVID-19 will take place, with more businesses able to restart their operations with restrictions.
The start of Phase 3 will allow additional sectors to reopen with guidance and protocols like gyms, fitness centers, and museums. These employers are hugely important to so many people here in Massachusetts, and thanks to the hard work everyone has put in so far, we're pleased to be able to say that more places can reopen with strict new guidelines. Like Phase 2, Phase 3 will operate under a two-step schedule, and the first step, as I mentioned, starts on Monday. Phase 3 contains some bigger players that will certainly draw more people into indoor settings with respect to various activities like movie theaters and museums. This phase will last significantly longer than the other phases so that we can closely monitor the impact to our public health data that comes with this move to Phase 3.
Mayor Paul Coogan last Thursday brought together 5 minority police officers to meet with a group of residents as part of an effort to have an ongoing conversation on community relations following the killing of George Floyd. The event began by asking each officer how and why they became Fall River police officers. Sergeant Kelly Furtado has served on the force for over 30 years. Her father was a police officer, as are her son and husband. She says despite what is portrayed in the media about police forces in general, the Fall River Department is well respected.
I love Fall River, and it's like no other city. The community here, the relationship throughout the years that I have seen between the police department and the community is second to none. When I went to major crimes, I could see that other big police departments always came to Fall River, always knew that we would take care of what needed to be taken care of. We are definitely head and shoulders above a lot of other places, as is this community, the community groups, the strong belief in community policing.
When community members had the opportunity to ask questions of the officers, one woman shared her experience with local police and expressed concern that all officers need to be more accountable for how they interact with people of color.
Personally, I've had one experience my entire life with a police officer. That was a negative one. It was probably the worst day of my life, and it was in Fall River. And to this day, I feel very uncomfortable whenever I see this police officer. So it's one of those things where I'm an individual who follows the law, do everything that I'm supposed to do, and this police officer admitted the fact that because I was a certain color in a certain neighborhood at nighttime, that's the reason why she did the things that she did. And that changed my life for the rest of my life. So I'm here now to make sure that I'm also an adult when this happens to me. If this happens to a 13-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid, that's much more that they have to deal with when they don't have their emotions in check at that point. So at this point, I just want to make sure that everyone that's on this panel and also whoever's working for the police force in Fall River holds each other for accountable. All the things that are happening right now, George Floyd could be alive if those officers would have stepped in. And I think it's amazing that we have minority officers here, and I said this the other day, we also need to have officers that are white here as well. We also need to make sure that every single person that's on this police force is on the same page. And that's what's important to me.
In response to how the city's police force will embrace change, Chief Jeffrey Cardoza said the department is actively reviewing its use of force policy with the intent on training officers to be more aware of the unforeseen circumstances of any individual they encounter. He also looks to the community to speak up when they see acts of officer misconduct.
I want people to come forward with that kind of stuff, because the only way I'm going to know if there's a problem with an officer is if his or her peers tell me, or someone from the public tells me. I'm just not going to know. So what I want to see the cops that work in this city do is provide an explanation. If you have everyone has a reason for a right to ask, why are you pulling me over? Why are you stopping me? Why are you impounding me? And I expect a respectful and honest answer.
Officer Stephen Washington, who's been on the force for 26 years, said that as much as police tried to have constructive conversations with city residents, the biases of the subjects and officers are sometimes difficult to overcome.
I've had many incidents where I wanted to quit this job, right? Totally wanted to quit this job because of racism, right? But I didn't do it, you know what I mean? I kept trucking on, I figured that by me being here, it would change. It's almost impossible to change at the end of it. So I also look at it as a tree. Our whole problem that we're having right now is the tree. But everything else is the branches. You can't change someone's ego problem. You can't change someone's way they grew up. You can't change any of that. So how do we work on those things, right? It's almost impossible to do. So a forum, a rally, right? And I'm sure you heard this before, right? What's the last four letters in rally? A-L-L-Y, ally. So we need each other. We don't have that, right? Now we have you against us. Every time Black Lives Movement or anyone else puts something about George Floyd or anyone else who was killed by the police, then you have a police officer who, this is social media too, right? Then you have a police officer who posts something about, well, what about Chicago and this and that, and then what about this? So you go tit for tat. Little kids, I look at it like, if I'm a police officer, you're going 100 miles per hour down the highway, and the car in front of you is going 105, and I pull you over going 100, and you roll down the window and go, well, what about him? I'm going to look at you like you're crazy, right? And that's what we're doing right now, right? Every time you guys say something to us, we say something back to you. So when do we have that conversation where it's just even?
Concurrently, the state legislature is working on legislation on police reforms. Representative Alan Sylvia, a former Fall River police detective, says along with reform comes more accountability for officers.
The governor's legislation and legislation that will be added to that in the House of Representatives for this piece of legislation that will be coming out focuses on those things like training, additional training when we look at de-escalation of incidents, non-bias, anti-bias training, something that police departments already have. Professional standards with regard to certification and decertification of police officers. Massachusetts is only one of 4 states that does not have a decertification process. So we will be, once this legislation is enacted, we will be joining those other states in the country that not only certify our police officers, the certification process that will take place every 3 years, but it's the decertification process. So if an officer is involved in a civil rights action or commits a crime, they would be go before a state board and would be decertified as police officers.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Carpentry cabinet making instructor, Diamond Regional Vocational Technical High School, located at 251 Stonehaven Road, is looking for a full-time carpentry cabinet making instructor to develop lesson plans, organize class time, and instruct students in carpentry skills. Job number 137-12535. Computer Vision Software Engineer. Innovative Defense Technologies, located at 99 South Main Street, has an immediate need for a full-time computer vision software engineer to design and implement computer vision and/or machine learning algorithms and approaches for solving image segmentation. Job number 137-10431. Funeral Home Secretary. Boulay Funeral Home, located at 615 Broadway, is in need of a part-time funeral home secretary to assume the duty of clerical and administrative support and assist the funeral home director with planning and distributing information. Job number 137-04280. Primacare, located at 277 Pleasant Street, is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Referral Coordinator, job number 137-13058. Medical Assistant, job number 137-13420. The Fall River Public School Department, located at 417 Rock Street, also is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Math Teacher, job number 137-12280. Special Education Teacher, job number 137-12279. For more information on these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. We are about 2 months away from the state primary, which is slated to be held on Tuesday, September 1st. In the face of COVID-19, the state legislature has passed a bill that will allow more people to vote by mail. State Representative Alan Sylvia says the reforms will hopefully ease fears while encouraging more voter participation.
But the governor needs to sign that soon, as you mentioned, because by July 15th, the Secretary of State will be mailing out applications for an absentee ballot. Now, we know that based on the information we have, that about 24% of the population in Massachusetts will apply for that absentee ballot. Concerns around COVID are really the impetus behind this effort to get people to vote early and to vote from home. So they'll receive an absentee ballot. If they care to request an absentee ballot, they will mail that application in. They'll receive it in the mail and they can vote in the mail. We also know that a huge percentage of people will still go to the polls and vote. So part of that legislation is to ensure that proper precautions are made at the polling places, and the exact dates and times when up to what time that absentee ballot has to be received a day prior to the election.
We continue now with a look at the candidates running in the Massachusetts 4th Congressional seat that is to be vacated by Congressman Joe Kennedy. This week, we speak with Democrats Alan Casey and Chris Zanettos. Alan Casey was raised in Western Pennsylvania in a city similar to Fall River. He attended Harvard Law School and, along with his college roommate, established City Year, a Boston-based youth service organization that's been in existence since 1988. A big part of Mr. Casey's platform for Congress is to push for a model of service that can develop into a 21st century New Deal.
I do think it's how do we seize this moment to enact transformational policies like we did during the New Deal. I do think things are opening. So for me, that means a universal voluntary national service. I've worked in this my whole life. We should have 1 million, at least, young people serving within a year. We need a new public health corps to do the contact tracing, support the public health workers so we can safely open the economy. We need an education corps. My kids were out of school for 3 months. They're going to have the summer. There are millions of public school students who have been out of school for 6 months. 37% of the folks in Fall River don't have access to computers. They haven't even been able to go to school online, for example. So we got to have people catching up. We need a new 21st century climate action corps like we did the CCC during the Depression. 300,000 people within 3 months. We've had 25 years of AmeriCorps, and we need an opportunity corps to promote justice. I've also called for a new Truth, Justice, and Reconciliation Commission to do here what they did in South Africa, which is tell the truth. But then I also think we have to promote justice to deal with 400 years of systemic racism.
Mr. Casey supports a public option for health care, tackling climate change and passing the Green New Deal, and making college education affordable for every American. He believes a lasting change in the country can only be accomplished by reaching across the aisle and seeking Republican support on legislation.
One of my number one mentors was Senator Kennedy. I worked with him for 20 years. As I said, City Year was the model for the AmeriCorps program, federal legislation. I worked with Senator Kennedy, with President Clinton, and President Obama to pass 3 major pieces of federal legislation. I know how Congress works, but I also worked with the Republicans like Governor Bill Weld, like Senator John McCain, like Senator Hatch. I've worked with every governor of Massachusetts going back to Mike Dukakis and every president going back to George H.W. Bush. So I actually have a track record of working in Washington, getting things done, and working across the aisle. What Senator Kennedy taught me was that you have to be able to reach across the other side while you stand on principle. He was the most successful senator of the 20th century, passed more than 550 pieces of legislation. He always had a Republican partner because he said to me, Alan, if I don't, the political winds go up and down. And if I don't have a Republican partner, then as soon as the Republicans get into power, they're going to take it all away. And we're seeing that. But he also taught me that when it comes to fundamental principle, you don't compromise.
Chris Zanettos is the son of an immigrant father who came to this country to pursue a college education. He attended college at MIT and started 3 technology and cybersecurity companies. Mr. Zanettos also launched a nonprofit organization dedicated to expanding science and technology opportunities to students in disadvantaged communities. He says it's that entrepreneurial background that he wants to bring to Congress.
The driver of my work, both in as an entrepreneur creating businesses in the technology space, but also with my nonprofit, is around opportunity, right? There are so many barriers, so many obstacles that are preventing people of color, people from lower income communities, people from middle income communities from accessing the opportunities of our economy and our country. And some of these are centuries old, and we've finally, I think, seen a groundswell of activity and desire to change embedded racism in many of our institutions, like our policing and justice systems. But we need to go further, because when you look at the obstacles, there's a layer and layer of obstacle preventing people from having the opportunity that, frankly, I did and that my children have had. And that's just not fair. My father was an immigrant. He came here with $100 in his pockets and was able to create this great life with my mother for my family. And I look around now, and 40+% of Americans no longer believe in the American dream of being able to build a better life than the generation before. And to me, that's unacceptable. It's just wrong.
Along with providing opportunity to all, Mr. Zanettos is also interested in closing the gap between those at the top and the bottom of the income scale.
So for the past 10 years, we've had the best economic expansion, at least of my lifetime. But at the same time, our huge opportunity and income gap only grew, right? We've built an economy, structured an economy in a way that continually drives value to the people at the top and not to everyone else. So, one, I believe we need to change that by making this massive investment in education that I mentioned. I think that is a key driver. An education that includes retraining and the ability for people who already have a job to retrain through community colleges at night and online to access better jobs. But as well, there are many other things that we have to do. Improve healthcare as a way to help people bridge this divide.
We invite you to join us again this coming Monday live at 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. on our Facebook page as we continue our in-depth interviews with the candidates in the 4th Congressional District. You can view all of our interviews on our FRCmedia website. The Children's Museum of Greater Fall River has seen great growth in attendance prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, but that didn't stop them from expanding to include a new outdoor education and activity area.
The city has some great traditional parks, so we wanted to bring something new to this area that was educational but playful and outdoors to broaden some horizons. So we came up with this music area that we're pretty excited about. So this area is called a story walk, and we're very, very excited to be able to have a permanent one here at the Children's Museum of Greater Fall River. The story walk concept was started by a woman named Ann Ferguson in Vermont about 5 years ago, we were part of a grant with the Boston Children's Museum to learn more about story walks. And part of that grant, we were given, they're on stakes with the books were on Velcro, and you could put it outside. And we shared it with some of the schools, with the library, but you couldn't leave it out all the time because of the weather that we have here. So this is something that is specially made for story walks. The plexiglass can come off and the books can be changed periodically. So we're so excited to be able to offer some literacy while kids are outside, getting some air, spending time with their families. So we hope that this is going to be a popular little part of the exhibit. So they walk around and they read the book as they go. So we're very excited about it, and we hope many families are going to enjoy a book together in this great outdoor space. 1, 2, 3.
Let the kids in there. You ready, kids?
Go ahead, you guys do it.
Ready,
Go ahead.
set, go.
With many of us still working from home, it's easy to get a little more comfortable and less active. The director of the fitness center at Bristol Community College has come up with a plan to get those college employees working remotely back on their feet.
So what we've decided to do is try to motivate the staff a little bit to basically get up away from the computer for a little while and move. So we're doing this 14-day step challenge. We're going to start next week, and for 14 days in a row, the staff who are interested can keep track of their steps, daily steps. And then at the end of the challenge, we're going to have some prizes. We're finding people are sitting more than ever, sitting, right in front of the computer, your laptop, your phone, and we're just kind of sinking into ourselves, right? So hopefully this challenge is just going to inspire people to get up, hopefully go outside, but you don't have to. You can walk around your house, go up and down your stairs. That counts. And hopefully they'll inspire all the people that they live with in their house to go with them, so that everyone is feeling a little bit better. Hopefully people have a safe place where they can walk. They always tell you to bring your mask with you, but certainly if you're walking and you're not around other people, they say it's okay not to have the mask on. We need to get outside to decompress. If you can shut off your phone so you're not taking any phone calls while you're walking, just to kind of take a break away from things. So that's what we're doing. Should be a lot of fun.
Thank you for considering a homeless pet today. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and as always, please feel free to contact the shelter before coming down to make sure that the pets you're viewing are still available for adoption. We can be reached at 508-677-9154.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Gizmo. Gizmo is a 3-year-old domestic short hair, and he was a surrender. His previous owners fell into an unfortunate situation where they had to keep moving, and that wasn't good for him, so yeah, he ended up with us. He's very outgoing. He's great with people, great with kids, good with other cats, and just a very laid-back, easygoing personality. So if you want to come down to meet Gizmo, you can fill out an application online or in person, or make an appointment at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Lola. Lola is a 2-year-old pit bull terrier. As you can see, she is very energetic. She's still very much a puppy. Lola is the kind of dog that loves to be with people. In fact, she may have a little bit of separation anxiety. She doesn't like it when you leave her alone. She doesn't mind toys, but she prefers to be with people. She very much likes socializing with whoever's in her life. As I said, she's very energetic. This is a dog who gets the zoomies, and it doesn't take much to bring it out in her. Lola would benefit tremendously from some training, little positive reinforcement, and she's gonna make a great dog for someone. So if you want to check her out, go on to foreverpaws.com, fill out an application, and then come on down to 300 Linwood Street and say hi.
Finally this week, we want to alert you to a series of fun projects that are available for kids as part of the Fall River Public Library's Curbside Pickup Program.
Hi, I'm David Mello, Supervisor of Children's Services here at the Fall River Public Library, and we'd like to tell you about our new Curbside Pickup for children's crafts. We have a wonderful variety of crafts offered all summer long. Each week we offer a different craft, things like boats that really float, submarines, butterfly ornaments, and lots more. Each kit contains everything you need to make one craft, including adhesives and instructions as well. All you have to do is call the Fall River Public Library, call the Children's Room at 508-324-2700, extension 4, and arrange for a time and a day for the pickup of your craft. So again, all you do is call the Fall River Public Library, Children's Room at 508-324-2700, extension 4, and get a cool craft to make over the summer.
A reminder, our Dinner Time with concert series will resume tomorrow night with a performance by G Squared. Check them out on Channel 95, as well as our Facebook page at 6 p.m. on Friday. That'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. We ask you to check out our website, frmedia.org, for the latest news and information and our latest Channel 95 program schedule. This program airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Thank you for joining us. We leave you today with a look back at the planting of hydrangeas outside Government Center last Thursday. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great 4th of July holiday weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday.